Today, it's a show all about tools. First, we're back to working on our project Cheap Cherokee, and we're making our own bumpers with one of the coolest tools we've ever had in our shop. Then we're off to Orlando to Matco's Tool Expo, not only to get some great help on our Cherokee, but also to check out some of the coolest new tools on the market. It's all today here on Trucks.
Hey guys, welcome to Trucks and thanks for watching. Today's show is all about tools. Some of the best tools in the world find their way into our hands and we consider ourselves lucky. For instance, check out this Torchmate. We'll give you guys a guided tour of this later on. And we're going to take you with us to Orlando, Florida to a convention that's nothing but tools, Matco's annual tool fair.
But before we head out, there's a few more things we need to take care of on our cheap Cherokee here. Now I know it's obviously changed just a little bit since you saw it last, so to refresh your memory and get you up to speed on what has changed, let's take a look back.
After limping this tub into the shop, we gave it a once-over and hatched a plan for some basic repairs and simple upgrades, with the end goal of having a cheap, really cheap, weekend wheeler that we could drive to and from the off-road park.
But there was that matter of the wadded-up frame rail to deal with. So, while me and Tommy took a trip to a salvage yard to scout some axles and used parts, Kevin took care of the body damage with the help of our Mighty Pull frame straightener from Body Toolmart. Then, we gave it an inexpensive facelift with some aftermarket sheet metal from Quadratec.
After smoothing out a few more wrinkles, we wanted to give it a paint job. But like everything else, we're on a shoestring budget. So after a little digging around and talking with Brian Smith at Body Color and Supply, we decided to go with this unbelievably inexpensive acrylic enamel from PPG. This single-stage industrial coating is one of PPG's best-kept secrets, in my opinion. It's sprayed great, it looks great, it's available in all these different colors, and the best thing is that the entire setup, the gallon of paint and the pint of catalyst, cost us less than $70. No kidding. And we still had a quart left over for touch-ups. And that, my friends, is a good value.
Now with the wrinkles straightened out and a new coat of paint, it's time to start thinking about bumpers, because these stockers just ain't gonna cut it anymore. Now, building bumpers is something you guys can easily do at home. And if you remember, we built the bumpers on DOS Bronco, and they held up great on the trails. Now, we don't have a whole lot of time to make ours, because we're heading down to Orlando. And even though we can make all the cuts we need to make with some fairly basic tools, we've got a secret weapon. This is the Torchmate, a CNC plasma cutting system. Torchmate CNC cutting systems come in several different sizes and prices and are surprisingly affordable. Ours is the Torchmate 3 and took about 5 hours to put together. Use a PC-based computer as a controller with enough memory to be able to run the basic software. It's interfaced to the cutting table with the applied robotics hardware that comes in the kit. The CAD software gives you the ability to lay out your designs on the computer, or using a flatbed scanner, you can import your drawings or designs, giving you unlimited freedom of design. This is hard work, real hard. This bumper is being cut out of 3/16 plate, and it cuts through like it's butter, with super clean cuts and incredible detail. You can dial in that quality using the line speed cut test provided on Torchmate's website. It allows you to pick the right amperage and the line speed of the cutter for the metal you're using. Now, the strength of your plasma torch will dictate how thick a metal you can cut. But this Thermodynamics Cutmaster 101 will allow genuine cuts up to 1 inch. Now, all the bumper pieces you see in front of me, the Torchmate cut out in about 10 minutes. Now, typically with a bandsaw and a grinder, plasma cutter, or a set of torches, doing something like this would take you much, much longer. Plus, the detail on the Trucks logo we cut out, well, you're not going to be that precise or that quick with any other tool. While I was at it, went ahead and cut out some bumper brackets so we can get this thing hung.
The assembly starts with the brackets that Ryan designed to bolt right into the factory locations, followed by the upper support plate and the front face. Now, these parts are just getting tacked in so we can make sure everything lines up, followed by the ceremonial cricket dance. Another benefit of building your own bumper is that you can build it to fit your vehicle with the features you want to have incorporated, like a winch mount or running lights. Ryan's design allows for steep approaches with great protection of the front end. And when it's all burned in after assembly, will be super strong and surprisingly lightweight.
Well, we're not done with the bumpers yet. We want to build some protection for the off-road lights we're going to mount up front, as well as protect our newly repaired front end. So to do that, we're using a budget-friendly manual Model 3 bender we got from JD Squared.
Calibration is the first step with this bender. And then, just watching the degree ring, you can easily gauge the angle of your bends. Give me a lever long enough and I can move the world. This was true for the ancient scholars, and it's true for the Model 3 bender we're using. The Model 3 is definitely a professional piece of gear, but it's affordable, priced less than $300, and can easily bend round tubing up to 2-inch diameter or square tubing up to 1.5 inches.
80 degrees, right on. All right, with our tubing bent, we'll just get it where we want it, trim it to fit, and burn it in. Then I gotta do the same thing for the back bumper.
Up next, we're going to Matco's Tool Expo, and we're taking our Cherokee with us. And later, we'll test out a system that promises to give you more miles per gallon. Don't go anywhere.
Hey, welcome back, and welcome to Matco's Tool Expo. Matco distributors from all over the country gather every year for the Tool Expo. Dozens of manufacturers, hundreds of new tools, and thousands of people make for a great gathering of folks that make their living in the automotive field.
Now, since we're right smack in the middle of all the latest and greatest tools available, Matco's hooked us up so we can get some work done on our project.
And being in tool heaven is great, but like Ryan said, we got some work to do. Now, we've already met some great people since we've been here, including these two guys, Matco's top 2 distributors for 2007, Chuck and John, and they're going to help us work on our Jeep Cherokee today. But first, let's take a look back and see what we've already done.
In case you missed it, with a new coat of paint on our Jeep Cherokee, we built some bumpers with the help of our new Torchmate. Then we hauled it and a crew down here to sunny Orlando to see what's new in the tool world and try to move this project along in the process.
Now, the first thing we're going to do with our Cherokee is install these Bushwacker fender flares for a little bit of extra wheel and tire clearance. And that starts with holding the flare up and tracing the outside for a reference. And the best thing about having Chuck and John help us is that if they mess it up, it's their fault. Now, John's got our cut lines marked out, but this rear is a little more involved than the front cut because we've got a double panel back here in the wheelhouse. Now, the front panel's cut, it should fall off, but the back panel's holding it on, so we have to pull that wheel, get it from the backside.
It pays to know how to use tools when you sell them for a living. Chuck and John are real gearheads, and they work cheap.
That looks pretty good. Where'd those guys go? I guess we have to do all the work.
Man, this is great. Not only do we get free labor, but we get a whole truck full of tools to pick from set up right behind us. Now, it's big fun to bring the Jeep down here and work on it in amongst this sea of brand new tools. But since we had such qualified help, me and Ryan took a little break and had the opportunity to visit with some of the fans of the show because they're the reason that we do what we do in the first place. And of course, we had to poll the crowd to see what they drive.
We drive trucks!
Now, the last time you guys saw our front bumper, it was just tacked together. Since then, we've added some headlight protection, some heavy-duty toe shackles, some bracing for our receiver hitch, and we burned in all the welds. Then to finish it off, we powder coated it with this cool hammer tone finish we got from Powder X. Then to make our logo pop, we recycled those ugly stainless steel window vent shades that fell off our Cherokee.
Ryan's bumpers incorporate PC driving lights, slim lights, but we'll install them a little later on. Man, that looks pretty good.
Yeah, now we just need some tires and wheels. Bad. Now, we already know our Jeep is definitely going to need a lift kit, and we've got one on order from Quadratech, but we couldn't resist seeing what our Cherokee's going to look like sitting on our 33-inch BFG mud terrains that Summit Racing hooked us up with.
That does look much better. Where'd those guys keep going?
And we want to say a huge thanks to John and Chuck for helping us transform our cheap Cherokee here and really helping us move this project along today. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, guys. And congratulations to the two of you for the great sales year you guys both had with Matco. And I think we could use you guys around the shop. Put you to work.
When we come back, we're checking out some of the most advanced tools available today. Stay tuned.
Hey, welcome back to Trucks, and welcome back to Matco's Tool Expo. Well, we got our cheap Cherokee project buttoned up, and now it's time to walk the floor and check out what's new in tools.
It was almost overwhelming how many vendors were set up showing their latest and best offerings. But there was other attractions as well. Even Courtney showed up, along with some of the race cars and drivers that Matco sponsors.
Jeez, this is nuts. Kind of claustrophobic in here. Good thing these guys don't spend any more than about 4.5 seconds in here. 8,000 horsepower, quarter mile, it's on.
Jack Beckman showed up after winning big the previous day all the way over in Phoenix, and he shook hands and signed autographs all day long. We even got the chance to talk a little with Corey McClenathan.
I think one of the biggest things that people don't understand, they see the race cars at the track, they see Matco on the cars. We not only talk about Matco, we use every one of their tools. It's the only way we can get our top fuel dragsters back in shape in 75 minutes and make that turnaround for the next round.
And we all know how important footwear is in the workplace. We even found a pair of boots that are resistant to slippage on concrete floors.
Basically, it's designed, instead of using rubber soles that most people use, we use a thing called thermoplastic urethane. And it's a new technology, it's been out about 6 years, and it's directly injected. And it's a combination of slip-is, a surface contact, and the actual outsole.
You guys gotta check this out. They call this the Video Stick. It's a video diagnostic tool made right here in the USA by the Visual Optics company.
Now this thing can come in pretty handy looking in hard to see areas. You can look inside cylinders, checking for damage, inside crankcases, rear axles, you name it.
Our video stick features a high resolution color camera chip with a 2.5-inch monitor with autofocus, so the end user doesn't have to focus it. It autofocuses from 1/4 of an inch to infinity. With the color monitor, you can also show what you're looking at to 2 or 3 people.
When you make a living with your hands, you need to protect them. And the technology that goes into every pair of Ringer gloves is impressive.
We removed all the stitching from the top of the glove, and it's a single piece construction on the top of the glove, removing all the seams. And we direct inject thermoplastic rubber panels completely all over the top, anatomically placed where the protection is needed.
Now this is a pry bar. We're over here at the Mayhew Tools booth. I want to show you guys a few things.
Well, what we've done now is that we've actually grown from pry bars that are actually starting out as short as 10 inches and gone all the way up to 58. And again, with the success of the 58, we get a lot of feedback from the professional mechanics. Can you A, make us a bar that will fit in the standard toolboxes, and B, can you make them stronger? Can you actually envision, just pretend that 2 guys are going to hang on this bar. What would that bar look like? And that's how we ended up with the new Matco 45x1 pry bar.
It was great meeting so many of the guys that make their living with Matco, and to let them know how much we appreciate having our hands on the best tools in the world. Thanks, guys.
After the break, we'll try out a simple bolt-on that's designed to ease your pain at the pumps. Stick around.
Hey, welcome back to Trucks. Now with the price of fuel the way it is, we thought we'd take a look at a unique product designed to enhance your fuel economy. Now it's bad enough to pay for gasoline, but I know it's really hurting you diesel guys.
Because the reality is most guys that are making their living with their truck, well, they're burning diesel.
And we didn't want to just stand here and flap about some new product. We wanted to give it an honest test, something that shows results one way or the other. So today, we're going to install this Fitch inline fuel catalyst on Tommy's 06 Dodge and give it a long-term test. Then we'll report back to you guys on any gains in fuel economy.
Tommy's truck has a 5.9 Cummins turbo diesel engine with standard shift and is bone stock other than a cold air intake and slightly larger aftermarket wheels and tires. We had to establish what kind of mileage this truck was getting from the factory, so we ran a few tanks of fuel through it and came up with a surprising 20.1 miles per gallon. And remember, this is the mega cab version with 35s on it as well.
It's pretty darn impressive for a 7,500-pound truck. But the challenge here is seeing what kind of improvement we can make over that baseline. The installation starts with removing the fuel cap to release any tank pressure.
Now this truck has 2 batteries and they're both disconnected. The Fitch unit itself is mounted using the provided band clamps right here to the intake plenum. The Fitch's fuel lines use factory-style connectors and plug right into the truck's fuel lines at the filter.
Then, to reset your computer's memory, touch both battery leads together for at least 30 seconds. Then, cycle the key to the on position 4 or 5 times. That'll prime the system so you can check for leaks.
That's great. We got no leaks. And we're going to do our comparison test on the highway since that's where most guys rack up their miles.
So we'll run a few more tanks full of diesel through this little truck. We'll let you guys know how it does. Now you've seen us use Pertronix performance parts on many project vehicles. And here's some new stuff from their flamethrower line. This is their 60,000 volt E-core coil and will operate with no degradation throughout a temperature range that even surpasses military specifications. And the heatsink is made from aircraft aluminum. Plus, it's 50 state legal. Pertronix also offers their flamethrower Mag 2 8mm custom wire sets. These have dual current paths for reliability. And the low 500 ohm per foot rating gets more energy to the plug. An outer silicone jacket resists high temperatures, moisture, oil, and chemicals, while the inner fiberglass reinforcing braid adds strength and flexibility. Flamethrower's HV coil starts at just under $70. Their 8mm Mag 2 plug wires just under $50. Thanks for watching Trucks. See you guys next week.